Hello, Michelle speaking.
Hi, I'm looking to speak to Michelle Thomason.
Speaking?
Hi, Michelle. My name is Melissa Ellsworth. I think we were in contact briefly a couple of weeks ago. Tim Houston's office referred an email to you guys, I think, from me.
Okay, yes, that's right. Yeah, how are you doing?
Not great. As far like this is regarding workers' comp, so like I guess I don't understand how. Like I understand how they ended up sending it to you guys, but I guess my question is how are you guys able to help, if at all?
Yeah,
And
so
I'm not being an asshole
yeah.
asking that question, you know what I mean? I'm just kind of like...
No, I know you're not.
I'm just confused, lost, and very angry, and I'm trying to get some answers,
Yeah.
and I can't get them.
Yeah. I'm glad you called. So in the world of this, so I'm in the safety branch with the Department of Labor, Skills and Immigration, and the safety branch. Our minister is responsible for the Occupational Health and Safety Act for the province, and also the Workers' Compensation Act. And so that's the connection in terms of workers' comp. But of course, the minister doesn't like deal with individual cases. But I can. Did you actually reach out? Like, have you been dealing with the Workers Advisory Program?
Yeah, I've been in this rodeo for almost 16 years now.
Okay, and when you worked with WAP, what were they recommending for you?
WAP is useful to a point, but from my understanding, if there are human rights issues or things like that are being trampled on, then someone's supposed to step up and say something or do something. And I've witnessed, not only in my own situation, but in a lot of other situations where nothing's being done. And in my situation alone, WAP is choosing what it brings forward and what it doesn't bring forward. And WAP is also handcuffing me into what I can say and what I can't say during the tribunal. So it's
so you're feeling stuck right now?
Well, you know what? My biggest problem of all of it right now, really, I've applied for MAID. I have done that. But my biggest problem is that the Workers Advisors program and WCAT are constantly getting reports from workers' comp saying that the doctors in the community don't know what they're talking about. And they're calling doctors in the community incompetent. So, to me, as a retired disabled nurse, in the healthcare situation we're currently in, should the public be concerned that an arm of the government, a crown corporation that belongs to the government, has some concerns that the doctors in the community are incompetent? Because that's where I'm leading with this. Because I've got numerous reports from the top doctors in the province, and workers' comp turns around and says, no, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And I went from...
And when was the last time you talked to somebody at workers' comp?
Just the other day.
Okay, and what were they saying when you spoke with them?
It was in regards to home renovations that are supposed to be done to accommodate my disabilities. And they took one part of the entire report that they sent in an OT, and the OT gave a report on everything that has to be done in order for me to function and live here safely. And they decided to change, just do the kitchen, that's it. Like, they're cherry picking on what they're doing. It's not just me. There's a whole lot of other injured workers, and with first responders, first responders still have to fight for the PTSD acknowledgement, and I'm included. I'm one of the ones included. And I actually had a director from workers' comp call me on a Friday and ask me to take the weekend and sit down and write every traumatic experience I've ever been through to prove that I have
Oh Lord.
PTSD. Yes. So this is what we're dealing
When
with,
did
and
that
this is
happen? Because
that
it's
happened.
presumptive PTSD now.
Yeah, and they're still denying I have it. But her name was Lisa McCauley, and that's what she wanted me to do. And I said to her, "Do you realize that I'm unmedicated and I have no psych backup because I've been asking for psych backup and it's been denied?" So my
It's not safe for you to do that. Yeah.
no, they there's no, my case manager has no medical background. Like, for all I know, she could have worked at Bell last week. And when I say to her, okay, this has been denied, she says, we bring it to the case manager, and I have all this in writing, and this is about to go public. That's why I'm kind of letting people know, because this is about to blow up, and it's not going to be pretty. Where she says that they consult the medical advisor, but she has the final say. Now, the medical advisor that turned my medication down, is Barb O'Neill from Bedford, and she's a GP. She's only a G. I don't mean only a GP. She's a GP.
Yeah, but she's not a specialist, is what you're saying.
No, but her decision overrode 2 specialists. This is where the problem is. And last night I was up until 11:30 talking to a nurse who was made to go back to work today after being diagnosed with the worst case of burnout her psychiatrist has ever seen. So I'm kind of the mouthpiece for everybody at this point, because there's some people are so bad they can't get off the floor.
Right.
And CBC, Josh, what's his name from CBC, has already had 8 of us in on camera to do. They're looking at a series into this, and there's very personal, horrific stories. And I mean, Kendra Coombs reached out to Jill Bowser, I don't know how many times. During the legislature, it was my information is what Kendra Coombs was talking about. And all Kendra can say was, I wish I could do more. And I mean, Tim Houston's office, nobody wants to deal with them. Somebody has. There's no accountability anywhere.
Yeah.
And I know as a nurse, if I gave a wrong medication, or I made a bad call, my job is on the line. There's accountability. Yeah. But there is zero accountability at that organization. And that is what we need. Yeah. Because we're dying. I'm slowly starving to death. And I was diagnosed with failure to thrive in 2019, and they refused to even recognize that diagnosis, Michelle.
You were diagnosed with what in 2019?
Failure to thrive.
In 2019?
Yeah. And how Lord. I'm still alive it's a damn miracle. My doctors look at me and they don't know how I'm still alive. It's been on my own steam, because it's been no help from comp. And the more help I ask for, the more they put their foot on my head and push me further underwater.
So I think I'm devastated to hear this, of course. I'm so sorry, and that doesn't matter. Those are just words, I know that. What I want to do is I want to reach out to, there's somebody in the branch who's actually working on WCB reform. It's new. It's like a new project, so it's not, it's literally getting started.
Yeah, that's what they were talking about in legislation, I think. That's because
this is like this week starting.
Oh, okay, okay, good to hear.
So there's a much bigger piece of work going on. Like, there's obvious changes that need to happen, and there's, like you said, you are not the only one who's dealing with a system that isn't being supportive. So there's a commitment. I know there's a commitment to look at the system. I want to reach out to my colleague and just wondering how to get your voice heard in a way that's meaningful to the work that they're going to be doing. So it's just so important to hear what you're experiencing, to know what needs to change.
Yeah, because I mean, for for 6 years I thrived on cannabis. I literally did. I was volunteering in Eastern Shore Mental Health. I was volunteering with my dog in the St. John Evans Dog Therapy Program. Once I found out cannabis worked for me, I said, okay, no one was more surprised than me. I need to teach others how to do this so they can do this safely and effectively as well. So, and I was one of the first people approved for cannabis for a comp. So, and I'll tell you, and everyone says this is the problem, and I'm still giving them the benefit of the doubt. In 1993, I was the first sexual harassment claim ever approved by the Workers' Compensation Board in this province.
Wow.
And I believe that put a target on my back, and I'm still wearing it now.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. Because every time my PTSD comes up, like I worked in psychiatry, I was a federal corrections officer, I was a nurse at the Burnside jail. Like, you name it, I've probably seen it.
You've been in it,
But when my PTSD comes up, the first thing workers' comp throws at me is, well, that's due to the sexual harassment at the liquor store. So they're throwing that in my face 20 years later, and this is 2023, and I was Me Too before Me Too was Me Too, so to say that is disgusting is beyond words. And I have another lady who was sexually abused as a child, and workers' comp is now using that against her and her adult file.
Wow.
Yes, they're dragging. Yes, they will look for anything, and the fact that they're dragging people's children's sexual assaults, domestic assaults, women who left marriages, domestic issues, they're saying no, it's not because of that. And I have a woman who called me this morning whose daughter's schizophrenic, and her case manager literally said that her pain-related issues and stress-related issues aren't work-related. It's the fact that she has her daughter at home, and she's probably better off putting her in a group home.
Wow.
That's what initiated this phone call.
Yeah. I want you to know, like, how incredibly strong you are. I know these are words, but you're doing important work. I'm sorry, it's so hard.
I don't have much left though, Michelle. That's the problem. And when I made out and I go, there's nobody left for these people.
Don't made out.
Well, the paperwork's already signed, and when I told my case manager that I applied for MAID, and I had this in writing, she said, respectfully, this has nothing to do with your claims.
Oh, Christ. Oh, Lord.
Yes. And
don't made out, okay?
I am maiding out because
don't made
of pain.
Out.
Well,
I understand.
When I explained to my case manager that my pain's not being controlled and none of my needs are being met by comp, and she comes back and says, respectfully, this has nothing to do with your claims, that is a slap in the face. So this is what's going public. That message, all this stuff is what's going public. Because they only answer to the shame game. That's it. And I don't have 5 years to wait for a tribunal or 15 to be tied up in court in a civil case either. So
please don't made out. Like, we need you. We need your voice.
My paperwork's already signed, and you know what? The people that did the MAID, that approved the MAID paperwork, didn't even question the fact that workers' comp did not fully give me the supports that I needed. So that's another news story that's going to come out, because there's going to be a lot of people slipping through the cracks that way. So that's my thing. And I'm sorry if I sound angry and frustrated, but I am.
Oh my gosh! Of course you are. Of course you are. This is not right. So, okay. So if
I went to work one day, and a psychotic patient was tearing a room apart, and I went in and saved an old lady's life. That's how I got hurt. So, I mean, I was forced back to work after that on another injury I shouldn't have even been back on. And then the third injury, my employer denied even happened. That ended up in a whole court case. And then they said if I testified, they were going to turn my workers' comp claim into a witch hunt. Like, this rabbit hole runs in every direction.
Yeah.
And then my case manager told my employer that I was treating my symptoms with cannabis, and I was fired. So yeah, it's
It's
and
a lot.
I'm not the only one. That's
Yeah.
like if I was the only one, I could say, okay, something's wrong. But
Mm.
I'm not the only
You're
one.
not the only one.
This
Yeah.
appears to be a problem across the province.
Yeah.
And well, not just across the province, across the country, from what I'm hearing.
Mm. Mm.
So if
Okay, so can you, like the number that you called me, can you just send me your, can you just, I want to get your name correct. So if you could just text me your full name again,
mm-hmm.
And I want to reach out to my colleague, okay?
Okay.
I don't know, it's, what time is, anyway, I'm going to reach out to her this afternoon. I'll text you once I've spoken to her, okay?
Okay, great.
I'm glad you called, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
And I know that's just words, but I'm really, really thankful for what you're trying to do.
I'm trying to help because I do not want another person to end up in this position because that's not what this was set up for.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, we'll talk. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.